Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, everyone. We are from Group 5, and today we will present about ethical and social issue in information system in management information system. Next slide. We are Group 5, described by 6 people. The first one is Yalitri Amanda. Second is Aulia Sarvina, Nadia Alivia, Yoli Martika, Nabila Latifah, and Ashifa Najla Harina. Next slide. The table of content that we will discuss today is the first one is what ethical, social, and political issue. The second one is model of thinking about ethical, social, and political issue. The third is moral dimension of the information age and key technology trend that face ethical issue. The fourth is what specific principle for conduct can be used to get ethical decision. The fifth is informational system technology and the internet pose challenge to the protection individual privacy and property. And the last one is how information system affect law for establishing accountability and liability and the quality of everyday life. Next slide. The first will be presented by Yoli.
Okay, thank you all. First, we will talk about what ethics, social, and political issues arise by information systems. Ethics refers to the principle of right and wrong that individuals, acting as free moral agents, use to make choices to guide their behaviors. The main ethical, social, and political issues raised by information systems center around information rights and obligations, property rights and obligations, accountability and control, system quality and quality of life, social and political issues that have significant implications for individuals, societies, and governments. Ethical issues in information systems have been given new urgency by the rise of the internet and the e-commerce. Internet and digital firm technologies make it easier than ever to assemble, integrate, and distribute information, unleashing new concerns about the appropriate use of customer information and the protection of personal privacy and the protection of intellectual property. The next page.
Okay, the next slide. I will be presenting some of the key issues include. Number one is privacy. Number two is data security and basis. And number three is digital divide. And number four is optimization and job displacement. And the last is governance and regulation. Other pricing ethical issues that information system rise include establishing accountability for the consequences of information systems, setting standards to safeguard system quality that protects the safety of the individual and society, and preserving value and institution considered essential to the quality of life in an information society. Okay, the next is key technology trends that raise ethical issues. Ethical issues long preceded information technology. Nevertheless, information technology has acting as an ethical concerns, tax, exciting social arrangements, and made some laws obsolete or severely corrected. And this is a table technology trends that raise ethical issues. The trend of computing power doubles every 18 months. The impact of the trend is more organizations depend on computer system for critical operation and become more vulnerable to system failure. And the second is data storage costs rapidly decline. And the impact of the trend is organization can easily maintain detailed database on individuals, and there are no limits on the data collected about the trend. And the threat is data analysis advances. The impact is company can analyze vast quantities of data gathered on the individual to develop detailed profiles and of individual behavior. Large-scale population surveillance is enabled. And the fourth is networking advances. And the impact is the cost of moving data and making it accessible from anywhere falls exponentially, and access to data becomes more difficult to control. And the last is mobile device growth impact. And the impact of the trend is individual cell phone must be tracked without user consent or knowledge.
Okay, thank you, Nabila. The next slide will be presented by Yoli.
Okay. The next we will talk about a model for thinking about ethical, social, and political issues. Ethical, social, and political issues are closely linked. The ethical you may face as a manager of information system typically is reflected in social and political debate. Ethics is principle of right and wrong that individuals, acting as free moral agents, use to make choices to guide their behaviors. Information systems raise new ethical questions because they create opportunities for intense social change, threatening existing distribution of power, money, rights, and obligation, also new of crime. A model for thinking about ethical, social, and political issues is like society as a compound, IT as rock drop in pond, creating risks of the new situation not covered by old rules. Social and political institutions cannot respond overnight to these ripples. It may take years to develop etiquette, expectation, and laws. It requires understanding of ethics to make choices in legally gray areas. Of ethics to make the relationship among ethical, social, political, and issues in an information society, it will be shows in the next slide. The next slide, please. This slide is about how the relationship among the ethical, social, political, and issues in an information system. Next
Okay.
slide, please.
Thank you, Yoli. The next slide will be presented by Kayali.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Next is 5 moral dimension of the information age. Information right and obligation is about what information right do individual and organization possess with respect to themselves. Property right and obligation, how will traditional intellectual property, property right be protected in digital society? Next is accountability and control. Who can and will be held accountable and liable for the harm done to individual and collective information and property rights. The next is system quality. System quality is what standard of data and system quality should we demand to protect individual rights and the safety of society. The loss of quality of life, which culture value and practice does the new information technology and support. Back to moderator.
Thank you, Kak Eli. The next slide will be presented by Nadia.
Yeah, thank you, moderator. In this slide, we will talk about advance in data storage technique and rapidly declining storage costs have been responsible for the multiplying database on individuals, employees, customer, and potential customer maintained by private and public organizations. And advance in data analysis technique for large pools of data are another technological trends that heightens ethical concern because companies and government agencies can find out highly detailed personal information about individuals. A data analysis technology called Non-Obvious Relationship Awareness, or NORA, can take information about people from many disparate sources, such as employment application, telephone record, customer listing, and wanted list, and correlate relationship to find obscure connection that might help identify criminals or terrorists. Advance in network, including the internet, promise to reduce greatly the cost of moving and accessing large quantities of data and people, and open the possibility of mining large pool of data remotely by using small desktop machine, mobile device, and cloud servers, permitting an invasion of privacy on scale and with a precision heretofore unimaginable. Next slide, please. Okay, in the next slide, we'll talk about what specific principle or conduct can be used to guide ethical decision. As we already talked before, this is NORA, Non-Obvious Relationship Awareness, consists of watch list, incident and arrest system, customer transaction system, telephone record, and human resource system. The basic concept is responsibilities, accountabilities, and liabilities. Responsibilities. Next slide, please. Okay, in this slide, first, next slide, please. Okay, ethical analysis. First is identify and describe the fact clearly. Second is define the conflict or dilemma and identify the higher order values involved ethical, social, and political issues always reference higher values. And next is identify the stakeholders and then identify the option that you can reasonably take and identify the potential consequence of your option. There are 5 candidate ethical principles. The first one is the golden rule. The golden rule is putting yourself in the place of other and thinking of yourself as the object of decision can help you think about fairness in decision making. The second one is Immanuel Kant categorical imperative. Immanuel Kant is if an action is not right for everyone to take, it is not right for anyone at all. And then the slippery slope rule says that if an action cannot be taken repeatedly, it is not right to take it all. And then the fourth is in utilitarian principle. Utilitarian principle says that take the action that achieves the higher or greater value. And risk aversion principle says that take the action that produces the least harm of the least potential cost. And the last one is ethical no free lunch rule. Ethical no free lunch rule says that assume that virtually all tangible and intangible objects are owned by someone else unless there is a specific declaration otherwise. Back to the moderator, please.
Okay, thank you, Nadia. The next slide will be presented by Yeli.
Okay, thank you, moderator. The next material is professional code of conduct. Professional code of conduct are promulgated by association of professionals such as EMA, EBA, AETP, and ACM. This professional group take responsibility for the partial regulation of the professional by determining entrance qualification and competency. Code of ethics are promised by profession to regulate themselves in the general interest of society. The next is some real-world ethical dilemma. Many companies monitor what their employees are doing on the internet to prevent them from wasting company research on non-business activity. For example, Facebook monitor in subscribe and then sell off the information to advertise and app development. The next slide, please. The next material is why do contemporary information system technology and the internet pose challenge to the protection of the individual privacy and intellectual property. The first one is information right. Privacy is the claim of the individual to be left alone, free the surveillance of interference for other individual or organization, included of the state. Prevention most American and European prevention law is based on the Richmond Call for Information Practice or IP. Next is internet collect to privacy like cookies, web become software and output and opt-in. Next is technical solution. There are 5 technology that can protect user privacy during interaction with a website. Many of the tools are used for encrypting email, for making email or serving activity apart anonymous, for the privating client computer for accepting cookies or the detect and eliminating software. Next is property right like trade secret, copyright, and patents. The last is challenge to intellectual property like right. Okay, next slide. Next slide, please. Okay.
Thank you, Kak Yeli. The next slide will be presented by Ashifa.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Next is how have information system affected laws for establishing accountability and liability and the quality of everyday life. The first one is the computer-related liability problems. If the software fails, who is responsible? The first one who will be responsible is the IT manager. And next is if seen as part of the machine that injures or harms the software producer and the operator may be liable. The next, if seen as similar to a book and it's difficult to hold author or publisher responsible. Next is what should liability be if software seen as service? Will this mean similar to telephone system not being liable for transmitted message? So the telephone system have not been held liable for the message transmitted because they are regulated common carriers. And so in return for their right to provide telephone service, they must provide access to all at reasonable rates and to achieve the acceptable reliability. Next is the system quality, data quality, and system errors. What is an acceptable technologically feasible level of system quality? The flawless software is economically unfeasible. Next is three principal sources of poor system performance, that is software bugs or errors. Next is hardware or facility failures. Next is poor input data quality, most common source of business system failure. Next slide, please. Next is the quality of life. Next is the quality of life, equity, access, and boundaries. Negative social consequence of the systems. First is the balancing power. Although computing power decentralizing, key decision-making remains centralized. And the second is the rapidity of change. Businessmen may not have enough time to respond to global competition. The third one is to maintaining boundaries. Computing internet use less than workday, infringe on family and personal time. And the fourth is dependence and vulnerability. Public and private organizations ever more dependent on computer systems. Next slide, please. Next is the computer and crime abuse. Computer crime, commission of illegal acts through use of computer or against a computer system. Computer may be object or instrument of crime. The first one is computer abuse, is an unethical act, not illegal. The spam is high, the cost of for business in dealing with spam. And next is the employment. The third one is the re-engineering work resulting in lost jobs. The fourth one is the equity and access, the digital divide. The fifth one is the certain ethnic and income groups in the United States less likely to have computers or internet access. Next is the health risk. The first one is the repetitive stress injury or RSI, which is the largest source is the computer keyboards. And the carpal tunnel syndrome or CTS. Next is the computer vision syndrome or CVS, which is eye strain and headaches related to the screen use. And the last is the technostress, which is has the aggravation, impatience, and fatigue. Back to the moderator.
Okay, maybe that's all from our group 5. If you have something to ask, if you have a question, you can write it down and we will discuss in the offline class. Maybe that's all. Thank you so much for watching. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.